What is up, guys? Welcome to the Top 10 Arrowverse Moment of the Week, Episode 7. So this week included Supergirl, Season 4, Episode 6, titled Call to Action, Arrow, Season 7, Episode 6, titled Due Process, Legends of Tomorrow, Season 4, Episode 5, titled Taguma Attacks, and The Flash, Season 5, Episode 6, titled The Icicle Cometh. So with that in mind, let's go over the Top 10 Arrowverse Moments of the Week from those episodes.
Daughter, you've returned.
You're not my family.
So this moment would be a lot higher if it just didn't do something that I didn't really like, which is bring Killer Frost back, a character who I thought didn't really need to come back at all, but the reason it's on the list at all, even though I didn't really like what it did, is that the moment itself is a cool moment. The way she came back and how it fit into the moment and the scene, it worked really well. So although I didn't like the fact that she came back at all, I did like how they went about it in this episode, but this would be a lot higher on the list if it did something that I actually liked. Also, the reason it's on the list at all, other than what I said, is because this week in the Arrowverse wasn't very good, like at all, so it was pretty difficult to actually come up with the top 10, so I had to include moments that I didn't really love, moments that I just liked, like this one.
Sorry to say that Colonel Haley has officially ordered you to stop the investigation.
Okay.
No. You understand what I'm saying, right?
I assure you, our communication difficulties are in the past. Consider my investigation terminated.
No, Brady, we want you to keep looking into it.
Okay, I'm confused.
It's why I winked.
Ah, yes. I shall continue my investigation in complete secrecy.
Brainiac 5 is hilarious, and he's basically the best thing in every Supergirl episode. This episode in particular, he wasn't the best thing. There will be another moment on this list, but he's just a very funny character, and I've said this before, but he's really the only character left on the show that is considered a great character, at least in my opinion, and in scenes like this, you can see that he's just very funny. This is a very funny scene, and I think that the actor has a lot to do with that.
So what happened? How did she die?
It was a couple weeks ago, give or take. She was murdered.
Murdered? Who would hurt Felicity?
Boy, the Felicity you knew was very different than what she became. We wanted her to join us, but she cut ties. Instead, she went underground. She started calling herself the Calculator.
Like her father?
She ran in some dangerous circles. You walk that path long enough, sooner or later it catches up to you.
So this reveal that Felicity becomes a villain is great because I do like that direction for the character. I said this in my review as well, but if she's not going to be killed off in the present day, which at this point it's physically impossible and it wouldn't make any sense for the timeline, but if she just becomes a villain in the present day, then that is easily the best alternative other than her just leaving the show. So I did like this reveal quite a lot. Like I said, this is only on the list because this week was not very good, so I had to come up with moments that I just liked and didn't love, and this is one of those moments that I liked. I like the direction that they're using Felicity in this storyline, but only if she does actually become a villain and it's not all a fake out.
Katie, what's going on?
Dad, why?
Well, I guess as you're all here, you have such smart friends, Katie.
So the twist that I'm talking about here is not that Thomas Snow is the Icicle, because that was very obvious. The twist is that he is the Icicle and not Thomas Snow at all. And this entire time, the whole episode, he has not been Thomas Snow at all. That was the twist. Not that Thomas Snow has another personality. The Icicle, he is the Icicle the entire time. And at this point, Thomas Snow is the other personality. I like that twist because it was just so predictable that he is the Icicle, so they didn't really have a twist there, so they changed it to make the twist something unpredictable like this one.
Sorry, how do you know us?
Well, when I first came here, I stayed in contact with scientists Louise Lincoln, Victor Fries, and Harrison Wells. Dr. Wells was able to give me full access to Star Lab's video uplink.
Wait a minute.
You've had video linked to Star Labs this entire time?
Oh, God, no. I mean, it hasn't worked until recently. And unfortunately, since it rebooted, its capabilities is only as a one-way video, so I could see you, but I couldn't reach you.
So it seems like I do include a reference in these videos every single time, at least one, and that's just because I love references, and this one is no exception. This one is great in particular because it references not one, but two characters, and the one to Mr. Freeze is also setting up the Elseworlds crossover, or teasing it, because he will most likely be appearing in that crossover. If you don't know who Louise Lincoln is, she is the second Killer Frost after Crystal Frost, while Caitlin Snow, the one you know from The Flash, is the third. So it's a nice callback to the comics, as well as a great reference to Batman, his rogues gallery, and a great setup for Elseworlds.
Скажи своему боссу, что к нему перекаял старый друг, КГБист.
Anatole.
Anatole Knyzev is the KG Beast in the comics, and it's taken so long for him to get that name, and just everything that was going on in the show, I didn't really feel like he was able to get that name because he's not a KGB member anymore, and at this point he was an enemy of the KGB, so it didn't really make sense he would get the name KG Beast, but they did fit it in somehow by making him the KG Beast in the past when he was a member of the KGB, so who knows, maybe he was a cybernetically enhanced assassin who fought Batman in the past and he changed completely. Most likely not, but I did like this subtle reference to his comic book moniker, and I'm glad they finally gave him that name.
20 seconds.
No freaking way. Get the bow.
Termination in 10, 9, 8.
Remember how my dad used to train?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This was just a generally awesome moment. We had a callback to the first episode of the show where Oliver used tennis balls to practice archery and I guess show off to the audience. He has used it in other places before, but it was in episode 1 that it was the most iconic. Also, Roy just using a bow and arrow for the first time this season. It's just really awesome to see, and I'm hoping we see more of that in the flash forwards. Right after she came back, Killer Frost got into a fight with the Icicle, and it was a pretty awesome fight scene. The two powers, which are the exact same thing, were used very well in the fight scene. The CGI and the choreography was pretty great. It was just a generally great fight scene, and a great way to have Killer Frost come back in that way, in the way that she comes back and immediately gets into a fight scene with the Icicle. It was a cool way to bring her back, despite the fact that, again, like I said earlier, I didn't really want her to come back. Either way, nonetheless, it was a great fight scene.
Okay, I'm great. I was this close to being stuck in here for the rest of my life. If you hadn't found Turner's blade, it would have been all over for me.
How did you know it was Turner's blade?
What do you mean?
You were in the hole, Stanley, so... How'd you know it was Turner's blade?
I guess I must have heard it somewhere.
Up until this point, I presumed that Stanley, or we were told, I guess, that Stanley was an innocent man who was accused of a crime, or wrongfully accused of a crime, but this moment subtly hints towards the fact that he may not be. Maybe this entire time he is actually hiding the fact that he is a psychopath, and he actually killed that man. He also killed the guard from earlier. This is a great hint towards the fact that Stanley may not be getting the happy ending we all thought he would, but instead he could just stay in prison for the rest of his life like he might deserve.
I mean, American history, it has this nasty habit with this holiday particularly to just wrap it all up in a neat little bow, when the truth is, in the years following the indigenous Wampanoag people inviting the pilgrims to a wonderful Thanksgiving meal, the European invaders slaughtered their hosts. So we do not learn from American history Is it possible that 100 years from now, the aliens will have their own wonderful, thankful holiday about how they slaughtered us?
What's crazy about this moment is that it comes from a generally bad episode, and yet it is a great scene, and in my opinion the best scene of the week in the Arrowverse. It's just really good. Benjamin Lockwood in particular, whatever he said in this episode and the way he kind of owned Kara Danvers, it was awesome to watch. Kind of gave me chills. Also, I kind of agree with Benjamin on basically everything he's saying in these episodes, which is crazy because he is the villain, but the way he takes all these opinions to the next level by killing people, that is something that obviously I, and I'm sure nobody else who watches the show agrees with, but the way they really convey that in this episode, the fact that he is right, but he kind of goes crazy with it, it is great, and this debate in general was handled very well. I said this in my review, but it is maybe the best writing from the Supergirl writers ever, which is not saying much, but I still think it was pretty great. So anyway, those are the top 10 Arrowverse moments of the week. If you want to see any of the reviews for Arrow, The Flash, or Supergirl, link will be in the top right corner of the video. And in the comments down below, let me know your list, as well as which episode do you think was the best this week. So all of that, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.